Hey, Legoholics! JRX1 here. Welcome back to another video. And today I'm bringing you guys my review of the Battle of Felucia Separatist MTT from the Lego Star Wars line. Let's get in it. Just a reminder that all of the basic information that you can find on Lego's website will be in the description below. I will go over some of it. Here it is, the set number of 75435. Again, Lego Star Wars. This is the Battle of Felucia Separatist MTT, ages 9 and up, recommended. 976 pieces, and it comes with a whopping 1, 2, 3, 9, 11, no, 12 minifigures if you count droids as minifigures, which I do. They do count, and yeah, that should be 12. 1, 2, 3, then 6, that's 9, and then 3 more is 12, yeah. Anyways, but 12 minifigures, and there is a step, so a mini vehicle, then of course the MTT itself. A lot of controversy behind this set. This is a set that I bought 2 of for May 4th. One is for the MTT, and then one is for something else I'll be doing a video about in the near future, hopefully. Today I'm working on a lot of videos on that kind of stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight into the box real quick, just to cover all of that kind of stuff. The front of the box is pretty simple. I do like the art style of the box. It does look really good. Reminds me of like some of the older days of Lego Star Wars. My biggest gripe about the box is honestly the 322nd Trooper, whatever that guy is supposed to be. Ahsoka's Legion, per se, whatever they are. I'm over them. I never liked them. It doesn't look cool. Doesn't look good. Never has. Never will. And other than that, I mean, that's pretty cool for the front of the box. The back of the box kind of shows a different picture of the battle. For some reason, you know, Bly is able to have 2 commando droids surrender. There's a pilot droid and a commander droid, I think, just chit-chat, probably talking about who's going to be piloting the staff and who's going to be piloting the MTT. You have 2 battle droids just chilling. I think they're probably taking bets and rolling dice. Who knows? Then you have 4 battle droids in the back, and they are just, I don't know, getting ready for a fight or something. That the commando droids apparently already lost to Commander Bly. Then you have Aayla Secura, who just looks disgusted. And she has reasons to look disgusted. I'm actually going to go over some of those reasons that apparently nobody else is talking about. Just because it's really stupid that Lego did some changes. Anyways, then of course, those are the different features and stuff like that. And I'll go ahead and be talking about all that too. Throughout this video. This is not going to be like my last one where I did a bunch of the different, like the building experience. I'm going to try to keep some of these shorter. Although the hour-long review was pretty cool and I did enjoy it, this is just not a set I'm going to be spending an hour to talk about. Anyways, going over the minifigures first. I'm going to start off with Aayla Secura because that's one of the biggest pet peeve about. Aayla Secura is a good minifigure overall. Nice twilight. The blue is cool. The brown is good. The printing on her legs for her little outfit, like her sash that goes down. It's not like a skirt, but it's a sash. Looks pretty good. Blue lightsaber, silver hilt. There is a prominent molding mark on the hilt. I've never really noticed that as extreme before. She does have 2 faces, and my biggest issue is actually her part of her printing. And forgive me if this doesn't sound family friendly. My videos are marked as not made for kids, but I don't really care if you get offended by this. And if this sounds foolish because it's coming from a 27-year-old man, I don't care. But it's really stupid that this is even a thing. In the past, you know, I'll just do it. Breasts, boobs, those are real. Those are a thing. And even in Star Wars, those do exist. Aayla Secura has all the lines to mark, you know, that upper female part. You know, all the lines for her torso. The shading to make her look skinnier on the torso. Her belly button is even there. Her collarbones. The lines are on her back. She has the lines in there to signify her back. The back shoulder bones, everything like that. And even on her printing for the top piece, her top piece, it does show the under, like the classic, just like the lines to signify that she does have breasts. I'm not afraid of this. She has boobs. Aayla Secura has boobs. Imagine that. But they got rid of the middle cleavage line. And that sounds like very like, are you really flipping out or going off about a minifigure not having a cleavage line? Yes and no. It's one of those things because the past Aayla Secura we got was also really good, and they had it. Like, it's just like you kept the printing that actually signifies that she has breasts, but you got rid of the cleavage. I just that's I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking. Am I nitpicking? Is this what people feel like when it comes to the clone troopers? I don't know. Anyways, just a small thing I wanted to add in there. I just thought it was weird. It's more so it's just weird that we went all this time with Aayla Secura, and yeah, she has cleavage. She's a female. It's not something weird to talk about. That's human biology. I mean, she's not human. That's human biology. If you take that being weird, then whatever. I mean, you're also watching a grown man review plastic child toy things. I think that's pretty weird. Anyways, moving on to Commander Bly. This minifigure, people are calling a slop trooper. I don't call this a slop trooper. I'm not going to lie. Somebody who knows design background and like your canvas is like that, there's only so much room. And if you actually think that the old Revenge of the Sith like 327th Trooper is better than this, then you're just senile. You're so wrong. The ammo belt on the torso looks so good, like the sash one by Torch's shoulder. Does it have 3 pouches? No. But it also doesn't need it. It looks good with the 2, and that shouldn't be a major issue. If you did 3, you're not going to have the detail that they have put in there. And the old one does not look better than this one. I also compare this minifigure to side-by-side image with Hasbro Black Series Commander Bly Phase 2. And I'm not going to lie to you, like they had a little bit more detail, but some of their detailing even didn't like correlate with, I guess, the movie, if you really want to be that specific. But I will just go and say, like, honestly, it's not a bad minifigure. The plastic pauldron, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of these. Yes, the cloth ones, I guess, were too much, but I feel like these plastic ones are just That's just my opinion. The printed waist cape is obviously a valid complaint. I just feel like if you're not going to do a waist cape, don't print it on the minifigure. That's my biggest thing. I don't mind that it's going with a waist cape, just don't print it on the minifigure. Regular, just like skin tone for a clone that they have been doing for a while now, regular face. The macro binoculars on the helmet's cool. The helmet itself is pretty cool. I do like how it does look a little bit weathered, but not too weathered. And there are some portions of this minifigure that actually signify that it's a mix between Phase 2 Commander Bly from Revenge of the Sith, but also with Phase 1 Commander Bly from the Clone Wars series. Some different details correlate with that as well, which is pretty cool. His blast rifle is just the rifle and the candlestick piece, nothing to talk about there. But all in all, I mean, Commander Bly isn't that bad of a minifigure. The simple detailed designs, like I can't say that you shouldn't complain about the small details because I just complained about the fact that Aayla Secura doesn't have a cleavage line. So I get it. I do get it. But I don't think that these are slop troopers. I think the helmet holes complaint is not valid, especially when you look into the modularity of clone helmets in Star Wars. There are multiple helmets, even in Legends, I can bet you had multiple helmet holes on both sides, just because of the different attachments and stuff like that they would have in Legends. But people who are die-hard, like detail-oriented about clones, you would think that those people would actually understand the lore and the Legends and the expanded universe about the clones. But they don't. Anyways, moving on to that, we got 3 commando droids. The commando droids have returned in a more like gunmetal silver color instead of the regular brown. And this is another major controversy with some people. I actually disagree with your controversy. Well, that depends. When did the Commando Droid debut? If your answer was that season 2 Rookies? Was Rookies in season 1 or season 2? Hold on. I'm using my phone to record. I might be wrong about this. But if your answer is Rookies, you might be right. But I think Rookies was season 2 of the Clone Wars. Oh man, I might be wrong now. Either way, but Commando Droids were actually on Ryloth. And there was actually 3 of them. There was 2 or 3 of them protecting the controls for the bridge to get into the capital of Ryloth. Those Commando Droids, their eyes were not lit up. They had a little bit more of a silver coloring. They were covered in Ryloth dust. But they were what theorized to be like the actual early, like the first version of a Commando Droid. I say that to say this. Also, what was another arc in the Clone Wars? Oh, the Citadel arc. The Citadel Commando Droids. They were also different. They were kind of brown, but they had some yellow eyes. They had some yellow markings, different colorings on them as well. There was also, the training simulator on Kamino. Those ones were white Commando Droids. What I'm saying is, just like there are different colorings of clones in the Republic, there are different colorings of droids in the Separatist. And just like how the Mace Windu clones never existed, but Lego made those, Lego made a gunmetal Commando Droid. And in all actuality, Commando Droids, I believe, were supposed to be in Revenge of the Sith. They were not an entirely new concept for the Clone Wars series. I believe they were supposed to be in Revenge of the Sith because there was a entire hour cut from the movie about all these different battles across the galaxy, including Felucia. And we were supposed to see more because we were also supposed to see more of like the Homing Spider Droid and the Hellfire Droids. Those were both on Felucia. They were supposed to be the Snail Droids, which is Scorpion's tank droid. All that kind of stuff. And we barely got to see anything. Even in the Clone Wars, when they did the one little opening where we saw Aayla and Bly on Felucia, we saw the Separatist forces in the background there just a little bit. But yeah, there are different variations, and variation is going to be a very important word during this review. Just want to mention that. But anyways, the Commando Droid, in my opinion, looks perfectly fine. I love that it's like a different, like I said, variation. And it's just really cool. It's also cool that they're not brown because these hinges and pieces should last longer. They won't get as loose, which is really cool. And I'm hoping that they continue to give us more different variations of the droids. Like they've done with the battle droid. They've given us the pilot droid, the commander droid, the jungle droid, which is the tank droid, security droid, the rocket droid, Geonosis droid. But it's all the battle droid, and people don't complain about that. But we're also supposed to accept the 181st. Is that the Mace Windu clones that never existed, the purple clones? But that's okay. But the gunmetal silver Commando Droids, those are wrong because they never existed. Okay, hypocritical much. Anyways, you have your pilot droid next, and the pilot droid is just like a nice basic pilot droid. The pilot droid in the battle droid is really funny because right on their chest plate it says at 1998. Lego Group copyright. So yeah, the droid torso has never changed since 1998 when they debuted. And honestly, people are just like, I have an issue with that. But honestly, why fix what's not broken? There's no reason to change perfection. The battle droids are pretty cool. There's a reason why they've never actually changed since they debuted. That's because they're already good enough. Like they're awesome. So that's pretty cool. One really cool thing about the pilot droid is that he also has a unique weapon in this. He is the only one that comes with a black blaster. The commando droids and then the regular battle droids, moving on to the regular battle droid, come with the gunmetal silver blasters, which is pretty interesting. And then the battle droid is just the same regular battle droid. Also had that 1998 copy right there on the torso, which is pretty cool. It's just funny to me that this is a 2026 set. No, this is a 2025 set. Sorry. And there's like the piece still says 1998. I like it. I'm not gonna lie, I like it. And there are 6 of those battle droids, 3 of those commando droids, and then 1 pilot, which makes 10 droids, and then of course the 2 other minifigures, which makes 12 minifigures. The stat build going to next is pretty cool. This is meant for one of the commando droids, but then again, that pilot droid, according to the one back in the box, might be one like, hey, I want to drive that stat instead. The staff is pretty cool. Staff designs have always changed, over the course of time. A staff is a staff, in my opinion. Pick which one you like, and then just go with that. Whatever. Nothing to really talk about there. But yeah, it's a staff. It's just another like speeder bike in Lego. Move on to the MTT itself, the multi-troop transport. I'm gonna go over all the functionality of the thing first, and then I'll talk about my thoughts and why the word variation is very important here. But anyway, so the functionality of the MTT was pretty cool. Start off with the front of the MTT. You got a sticker signifying like the where the pilot would see or whatever, like the sensors for the vehicle. This isn't a droid; it is piloted. But yeah, the guns on here are stubby. I'm not gonna lie. My biggest issue is right here. Right here, these guns are very fragile when you're trying to move them, and it's like almost impossible to get them back in. So you have to take off the entire center area, and more of it just broke. Let me grab this piece because one of my gripes about this is I have to find out where this grill piece goes. Where does this grill piece go? Well, I have a piece that's just gone. It was somewhere. It went somewhere, but now it goes nowhere. I'm going to be talking about that here in a little bit too, because this crap needs to end. It's just not enjoyable anymore. But anyway, so yeah, you got to take all that off, and it's just one little clip piece that goes on to this little piece here, and you just got to push that back on and then hope that you don't break it off again. Oh, that's where that went. So I have to take this off anyways. That goes on here. So anyways, yeah, those 2 guns, they are stubby looking, I'm not going to lie. They're not entirely like bad, but my biggest thing is just how easy they break off. I'm talking like the entire gun, not even just these. I will say like this piece in general that Lego has been using for their guns has always been difficult just to twist and turn, the ball turret piece. But anyways, going to the sides, both sides are basically symmetrical, which is pretty cool. They got a sticker there, which isn't too bad. And then both sides do open up to go ahead and show some of the interior of the MTT. The top of this, there is a flap that can fold down where you can see where the pilot goes. Moving on to the back of the MTT, you can go ahead and open that up as well. And then that's where you can store like the staff, and then you can also stand up to the commando droids if you wanted to. But all the droids do fit in the MTT as well with the staff, which is pretty cool. It's a troop transport, should be doing that. Looking at the bottom before I get to the main feature of the thing, you do get some nice wheel pieces here just to help move this thing across the table, which I'm not gonna lie, like it does help. It does help tremendously, just moving it around. But then, of course, obviously the main feature is the knob on top, and you do turn this, and then it will release the rack. That's what she said. And then we keep turning it. It goes, yeah, you can deploy it, reel it back in, whatever you want to do. And it's fun. You can do this for hours, and it's never gonna pick up. It's never gonna do anything. The pieces never overlap. They don't break. This is a beautiful, beautiful feature right here. Really cool indeed. And honestly, that covers most of the MTT. Oh, there are stud shooters. I don't have them loaded because this was still me unpacking it from vacation. I built this on vacation, and I took pictures of it on the beach. I don't think those pictures you guys have seen yet. I'll do something with that at some point. But that is the Separatist MTT and all the stuff there. So that's everything about that. All the minifigures, the box. So why? Every video something falls. Will you cooperate? Why are you leaning? No, that's fine. Lean. All right, anyways. But now let me go ahead and talk about my opinions about this. Starting with the biggest thing is going to be the fact that it's not big. People will have a lot of opinions about this. I'm not going to lie. This is a very small MTT. One of the things, though, that I said earlier is that the word variation is very important, and that is very true. In Star Wars, every main vehicle has variations. Especially during the Clone Wars, there are a lot of variations of the different vehicles. It's not always talked about or looked at or hinted at because realistically, unless you really dive into the lore of Star Wars, you don't really understand that. But I will go ahead and tell you that the reason why the size between the Separatist MTT and the Trade Federation MTT are so different is because they are different MTTs. Do I actually believe that Lego was modeling it after like this type of lore? No, I do believe that sets have been downsizing, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So this is not me creating an excuse for Lego, but I am going to explain to you guys how you can actually still utilize this to work in your droid army to be lore accurate. If you wanted to still like find a cool use for this, even though it's smaller than the other MTTs, because in all actuality, the Separatist multi-troop transport is smaller than the Trade Federation multi-troop transport. So to explain real quick is the Trade Federation, led by Newt Gunray and then some other leaders, their main entire thing was controlling the trade routes. And they would blockade routes. Well, in order to blockade routes and cut sometimes a planet off from doing anything, you have to have spaceships in space, obviously. And you also send in units to invade certain cities, so like that, because it's all for intimidation. It's for control and intimidation. The Trade Federation's assets for doing this were Legoholics, MTTs, the battle droids, and destroyer droids. They had some carriers, they had vulture droids, that kind of stuff. And that is what they used. Whenever they grounded their units, what was also there? The vulture droids. The vulture droids were there for space. If they did get into combat, which they honestly tried to avoid because they had those large Legoholics, it was also an intimidation factor, an intimidation strategy. And that is what they would utilize the MTT for when it came to their blockades. To really show people that they meant business and that they are legitimate, they would send a huge line of these with their AATs and the Staps and Vulture Droid escorts. And then people would know that these giant multi-troop transports carried a buttload of battle droids and some droidicas. And that was the whole point of the Trade Federation utilizing. It was a giant vehicle to house a butt ton of battle droids. It was not meant for organics. It was not meant for cargo. It was not meant for anything like that. It was meant for battle droids and invasion, hold the line, get paid, and then they would just simply leave. That's what the Trade Federation did. The Trade Federation are ultimately cowards, but they have a lot of big things to make people think that they are not cowards. Now, go to post Attack of the Clones. That now that the Separatist Alliance, or the Confederacy of Independent Systems, is created, and now there's a war effort because they are at war now. It's not simply just these systems having these droid armies, like these corporations having these droid resources against a republic with no actual army except for, volunteer militia forces or just Republic militia, and then the Jedi Order. You have a clone army. And because of that, and now they are more of a war front, like these corporate leaders are now sometimes commanding officers in a battlefield. The Separatists had to come together to figure out ways to combine some of their assets for more of a separatist front, rather than trying to keep everything so unique and specific to each corporate leader's specifications. So a really great example of this is the Trade Federation had the OOM battle droid, but when the CIS was created, they moved to the B1 series battle droid, and that was a agreement that came together mainly through the Trade Federation, being Newt Gunray, the Techno Union, Wat Tambor, and then of course Geonosis Droid Works, or whatever they're called, with Poggle the Lesser. Poggle housed the droid factories that actually would start implementing the droids that the corporate leaders together would decide, yeah, this is what we can do, combining our resources and everything. Because another example about that is uniquely spec-wise, the Techno Union did not have regular battle droids. They had their, I like to call vulture droids, or I guess you can't call vulture droids, but the flying battle droids, the ones with wings that can fly, the crows, I don't know, the crow droids, the crow battle droids, I don't know. But they couldn't all just produce those types of droids. They had to settle and make agreements, to figure out what would be best for the Separatist Alliance as a whole with its war front. And one of those talks was the MTT. So the Separatist multi-troop transport had to be kind of changed. It was smaller because of cost. The battle droid alone already did cost the Separatists a lot of money. Advanced battle droids like the Magna Guards, the Droidicas, the Commando droids, B2 super battle droids, those cost them a lot of money. All the tanks and carriers cost them a lot of money. And that's why for the Separatist MTT, it was actually cut in size compared to the Trade Federation MTT. Also was cut down in size and cut down for use. The Trade Federation MTT was used as an intimidation factor, but this time they actually need something that can get in there, deploy troops, fire on targets if necessary, but also get out of there, probably to refill to deploy more troops. So it had to be smaller. And it had to be modular. And so the modularity came into play because it couldn't just deploy B1s. It had to be able to be equipped to deploy, switch out for B2s, for destroyer droids, for BX commando droids, what have you. Whatever type of droid they needed to deploy, they needed to be able to do that. Some of them were also made to just fastly deploy some STAPs or some speeders. Like one of the features that we had in one of the 2014 MTT or something like that. It had like the flip out STAP thing or what, I don't know. Which is, that was weird. Anyways. But also they had to be able to actually hold cargo. So with the Separatists, with the Trade Federation MTT, I can grab this without sliding on my hands, the entire thing from pilot to main chamber to the back chamber was all droids. Pilots were here. You had a butt ton of B1s on the front. This front half was all B1s. You did have guns for protection, obviously. And the back would be like a carrier and then more droids, destroyer droids. It was not meant for organics at all. For the Separatist MTT, you of course had your pilot up front. You did sell the droids, if it was B1s or B2s or whatever the main thing that this vehicle was gonna deploy. But in the back, it was open. You had to have a place for a STAP, if need be, a small carrier, cargo, Treasure, Wat Tambor, I'm looking at you, or just organics if it's just being a transport. These guys for the Trade Federation could hold their own against forces because it's a big hulking vessel. That's why the AATs were more like they were an escort, but they weren't entirely needed. For the Separatist MTTs, the AATs were needed. They were a little bit faster, but they also had to cut back on some of the armoring too. They were not as durable as the Trade Federation model. The best example to see the difference between the Separatist MTT and the Trade Federation MTT is actually the Clone Wars series. On Ryloth, Wat Tambor has a lot of these going in line, and they are transporting what? Treasure from all the villages around the planet. So this entire back area is meant for cargo, and the front area is meant for deploying. And when you really look at the battle droids and even Mace Windu and all them with perspective, this is basically almost to scale with them. It's not meant to be a giant MTT like the Trade Federation had in Phantom Menace. It did not take long for the battle droids to walk along the side of this thing with the metal detectors. And when Mace Windu and only Mace Windu and a couple of clones were able to fit inside the back of this MTT. If it was a Trade Federation MTT, I'm actually trying to remember. I have a Star Wars vehicle book. I don't entirely remember. I think the back actually had a small 2 levels into it. But like basically all the clones that Mace had with him, like that, like an entire squad of clones could fit with more room with the Trade Federation. Only Mace and like maybe 3 or 4 clones could fit in the back of one of these comfortably. But that's what it was meant for, because they also had some cargo and stuff like that too in that MTT. But yeah, that is the biggest difference between the Separatist multi-troop transport and the Trade Federation multi-troop transport, is the fact that they were both actually utilized for different reasons. And that also doesn't even end there. There is a Trade Federation multi-troop transport that is made specifically, instead of deploying the B1s at a fast pace, it was only made for B2s. There's also other variants where some are ray shielded, some are heavier weapons, and so like it's multiple things. And again, it's like that for the Republic as well. I'm not gonna buy the set. At least I don't think I am right now. But the Republic Juggernaut, the size of that Juggernaut, that set from that came along with this set, is actually the perfect size, I believe, for an A3 Juggernaut. The regular Juggernaut that people are used to seeing, like I believe in the Clone Wars series on Felucia, I think that one was an A4 Juggernaut, but the one we're seeing in Revenge of the Sith is an A6. It's an A5 or an A6 Juggernaut, and those ones are basically just an entire mobile base on wheels, and they have armor and firepower. But not all turbo tanks are the A6 Juggernauts. The one that we have, I believe, is almost perfect of an A3. From The Mandalorian Season 2, when they had to hijack that was a turbo tank that the Imperials were using to transport the gas or whatever it was, the thing that was explosive. I believe that one was that one an A2 or an A3? It should have been like an A2 or an A3 Juggernaut. They might even call it a different vehicle, but it wasn't. That was absolutely a turbo tank. I have to think back to, because I don't think Rogue One was the prison transport in Rogue One. Was that an A1 Juggernaut? I don't think that one was, but yeah, to go ahead, like there are definitely different variations of these vehicles in Star Wars, and that does matter. Like, the variations matter. That was a lot, and I apologize. Again, am I giving Lego an excuse for this being so small? No. But I am telling you that I'm not entirely against this. The biggest thing that I'm against is the price. $160 is absolutely asinine. The best price for this is $120. I just missed the days when we had $220 sets with Lego Star Wars in the first place. But yeah, this is not $160. it's a $120 set. But I'm going to move away from that. The other issue that I have with this is the fact that this is 976 pieces. So we're not far from 1,000 pieces, by the way. 10 years ago, 1,000 pieces is so much bigger than this. And this is where my biggest issue is coming from a lot of this. Using only small pieces because it's more detailed. I'm going to tell you this right now. That is some of the biggest loads of bullcrap that anybody has ever tried spewing. I don't know who decided, well, it's smaller pieces and more detailing. That's okay. It's not. One of the things that I will go ahead, because I don't agree with like the argument of Lego wouldn't put minifigures in a set if it's not about the minifigures. That's stupid. That's like saying that Lego wouldn't put the build in the set if it's not about the build. The set is for everything. Everything. People want to nitpick. So I don't agree with that argument. But one of the things I don't like is when people say, well, it's for display. No, this is a play set. So there's supposed to be playability, and there's supposed to be functionality, and it should be kind of bigger. Again, the main focus for the Lego group, and always has been the nuclear family. Mom, dad, kids, children. So the other thing is it's for the nuclear family, and that's for the kids. That's what their focus has always been since the beginning. Since old Kirk Christensen's beginning has been the nuclear family. Mom or dad brings their kid into his old toy shop, and he would have like the wooden ducks and some older classic style toys that we would call probably ancient today. But that's always been the main focus. Just do research instead of just making YouTube videos and act like you know everything. I don't know everything. That's why I research stuff. But this and where they're going with this stuff is just really, really bad. I'm like I told, like a small piece fell off. I'm just like, where does this? Because the entire set are just small pieces. I think the biggest piece in this set, I think, is only like 10 studs long. That's it. And 12 years ago, for a 976 piece set, you're probably having a few pieces that are probably, I don't know, 16 studs long. I don't know, like it's interesting. But yeah, the small pieces equally in more detail is just really stupid. We need to get away from that. When you go back to having where the main structure is bigger pieces, it's actual big vehicle, and then use small pieces on top of that to do your little details if you want to be that intricate about it. I don't understand why it's so hard, because they were doing it fine. I'm also not someone who's all for it having to look exactly like how it is in Star Wars. This is still Lego. I want studs showing. It's Lego. I want some goofy features. It's Lego. But the other factor about this that's really interesting is the fact that, Lego doesn't even own Lego Star Wars. And that is a very troubling part about this too, because the person who owns Lego Star Wars is actually the Walt Disney Company. So Walt Disney owns Star Wars and Lego Star Wars. So for Lego to even make these sets, they are paying more hefty royalties, because they have to pay to use Star Wars. They have to pay to use Lego Star Wars. And then every single trademark that's in their title and in their minifigure area is an additional royalty that they have to pay. And that's just for this set. So you have a completely different set next to them. Let's say this is a good one. You have a completely different set next to them. On this one, they also have to pay to use Star Wars. They also have to pay to use the Lego Star Wars. And they also have to pay for every single trademark that is in this set. Now, luckily, the Darksaber is not trademarked. Oh, yes, it is. It's on the nameplate. So the Darksaber is actually trademarked, which is interesting. But yeah, so they have to do it for every single set. That's why Lego Star Wars is getting so expensive, but that's also why Lego Marvel is getting expensive. Lego Disney sets are getting expensive is because of Disney. So that's why. It's not because of tariffs, it's not because of inflation, because if that were the case, then everything company-wide in Lego would be skyrocketing in price the same rate that these are, and they're not. You go look at the Lego backpacks and the lunch bins and the totes and the different things like that. Those would be skyrocketing in price too, but they're not. That's why it's not inflation or tariffs. Also to say that the tariffs really shouldn't be affecting Lego since they are currently building a factory in the United States. So tariffs don't matter because they are a company that now has a facility in America. Anyways, so with all of that being said, I want to go ahead and say that there are definitely issues logistically with this set. There are some physical issues, like just some of the things are fragile. It's just mainly the gun. Trying to pick up the set, sometimes you can suction your big meaty claws on it, but just a little kid trying to because of it being such an incline going up like this, like a little tent, you can try to grab. This is where the stud showing matters. But on the back here, you have this little blue piece that's covered, like the little piece that lets us flap open on here. That's a good place to get your thumb in your middle finger to pick that up. Rolling it around is fun. The feature, like I said, no one is denying that the feature of the set isn't fun. It is fun. It is cool. It's done very well. But yeah, this is just one of those sets. There's logistic issues with it. You could give Lego the excuse lore-wise of this set, but you really can't because they're not thinking about that. But overall, yeah. Is this set worth $160? Absolutely not. Is this set worth $120? I would say so. Do Battle Droids count as minifigures? Yes, they do. Are the Commando Droids bad? No, the Commando Droids are awesome. Is Commander Bly bad? I think Commander Bly is pretty good. Is Aayla Secura bad? No, she's a good minifigure. They just got rid for cleavage. That's all. Overall, it's not a bad set. It's an overpriced set. It is an unfortunate set in the current time because if this set was coming out 10 years ago, so for 2016, which actually I think it did 10 years ago. No, if this set came out in 2012 and we were getting a Separatist Felucia MTT, it would have been probably twice the size and for $120. That's where it kind of gets a little bit interesting. But you also can't play life on the what ifs. If this came out then, if this kid were to come out, you can only focus on it coming out right now. That's why you can't just focus on that logistical stuff and on the what ifs. What you're given is a good set. You're going to have fun playing with it. You're going to have fun with it in your mocks, all that kind of stuff. I said I was going to spend an hour on this, but we're, 15 minutes away from an hour. So I do apologize on that. I just wanted, there's a lot to go and talk about because I do deeply care about the sets I review. That's why I don't review every set. Because I'm not trying to do that. I want to talk about the sets that I really actually have stuff to talk about. But yeah, so let me go ahead and just break this back down. The minifigures, if I were to give them a rank out of 5, altogether out of 5, they are really good 4 out of 5. They are good 4 out of 5. The reason why I say 4 out of 5 is because I kind of wish we had more droids. You could modify the carry the rack part where you put the battle droids in. to hold more than 6, and you can have it to where it's holding 8. Some people have done that. There is a chance that some of the pieces might get stuck, but realistically they shouldn't, because those 3 battles on the other side still run through that same track. So you add 2 more, that really shouldn't matter. The commando droids are absolutely wonderful. I love seeing the commando droids again. It's kind of sucks seeing them in a $160 set right now, but there might be a chance that, you know, maybe we'll get a battle pack and it'll be Galactic Marines and commando droids. I'd be okay with that. But yeah, the pilot droid is always a pleasure to see. Nothing really wrong about that. The Commander Bly, you know, I honestly just don't like the fact that there's a printed waist cape. Other than that, I'm fine with Commander Bly. The Aayla Secura, I'm still fine with. I just, you know, like that's one of those things where it's really hard to mess up. Aayla Secura is not a highly detailed minifigure in the first place. And so when you take away one of those just basic details that she has and that other female characters have in the Lego themes, it's just very interesting as to why they decided to do that. Was it just because they didn't want people to see cleavage anymore, but they still kept the fact that she has boobs, like the underlining of her breasts, or did they just forget to add in that line? And that's where it's like, it's not me being so like, why is this guy so obsessed about Aayla Secura's boobs? That's not the point of this. It's just the fact of I want to know the conversation behind it. It's like, hey, did we just forget to add that detail, or did we choose not to add that, but we still kept the other details that signify her having boobs? I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, overall, 4 out of 5 for the minifigures. For the build itself, the experience was fun. I'm not going to lie. The experience was fun. The build is a good build. It's just small. That's the thing. It's a good build, but it's small. And because they focus on just the smaller pieces, it gets more fragile. And then they would have learned that, especially with them being the creators of the Technic pieces, that realistically, like, there should be more Technic connections with this instead of just those regular hinge and clips. But either way, the build itself, I'm going to actually give out of 5. I'm going to give the build itself a 3 out of 5. And I wanted to give it a 4 originally, but it's going to be a 3. It's getting 2 because of the feature. The feature is phenomenal. And honestly, it's one of those things where the feature is phenomenal, but also that's where we get into some trouble, because this build is just a shell that's surrounding that feature. It's just like the Justifier. Right? Was that the Justifier? Or Cad Bane's ship. Is that the Justifier? I don't know. But Cad Bane's ship from the Bad Batch, that entire thing, you bought a cockpit and everything else was just a shell for that stupid engine thing for $160. That was stupid. That's stupid. And that's almost what this is like. Especially, I love the Separatists. I love the MTT. That's almost what this is like. The only other reason why it's getting a 3 instead of a 2 is because it's still a really good looking set. Sorry about that. I just like sneezed 10 times in a row. Anyways, it's still a really good build to look at. It was still a good building experience. That's why it's a 3 out of 5 instead of like a 4 out of 5. It's obviously not a 5 out of 5. There are some issues. The fragileness because it's smaller pieces. A little kid playing with it. I mean, big meaty claws, I can grip this. A little kid playing with it, they're gonna have a hard time. They're gonna break, and they're probably just gonna, be pretty rough with it. Luckily, nothing actually fell off or anything, but that matter still stands. The hinge pieces are nice. They are a little bit fragile. I think they do hold up better than like the likes of the turbo tank. If you grab it by the top, that's going to come off, obviously. I'm just trying to think of like where kids are going to be grabbing this. But yeah, really back here in the cargo area, just grip that little stud indent area and you'll be fine. But yeah, ultimately overall, out of 5 mini kits, this was 4 out of 5 for minifigures, and then 3 out of 5 for the build. I think for the set though, I'm still gonna give this like I think this is a 3 out of 5 set. It's not the best Separatist set. It could be better. It's not a terrible one, but it's all right. Yeah, 3 out of 5. It's a 3 out of 5. That's my honest review of that. Minifigures are good. The droids are good. They're all gonna fall anyways. The Commander Bly, the Printed Waist Cape. I mean, why? And then Aayla Secura needs some work. But overall, 3 out of 5 set. Definitely overpriced. Definitely overpriced. It is overpriced. And I spent $160 on this. I spent $160 on not just one, but on 2. This is sealed. This is the second one. But that's because I'm me, and I don't always make the smartest decisions. Anyways, yeah. But, yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you guys are new to the channel and want to help support the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also be notified with that notification bell when I upload another video. And other than that, I have nothing else to say, but for you to have an awesome, God bless day. Rex out.